mahah Vidyam pavitramomkaraha Ruksamaya jurivacha Gatir bharta prabhu sakshi Nivasa sharanam surud Prabhava pralayasthanam Nidhanam bijamavyayam Tapamyahamaham varsham Nidruhanyam srujami cha Amrutam chaiva mrityuscha Sadasachaham arjuna Daivityamam soma paputa papaha Yagnairishtva swargatim prarthayanti Te punyamasadhya surendralokam Ashnanti divyan divi deva bhogan. He started telling us, excuse me, he started telling us about the all-pervading nature of the Lord. This is the one lesson we have to learn in the next few chapters, the all-pervading nature of the Lord. The Lord is not divorced from anything. The good, the bad, the ugly, the Lord is not divorced from it. If He is all-pervading, He has to be everywhere, as much in Mount Kailash, that very much in the city municipal dump. Same Lord, everywhere. As much in the saint, that much in the sinner. As much in those who speak sweetly to us, that much in those who speak not so sweetly to us. Are we able to see His presence at all times? To be aware of His presence at all times? Use Him as our yardstick in the choice of action. When we use Him as the yardstick in our choice of actions, He becomes for us Gatihi. Gatihi means goal. He is the goal. Whether you recognize it or you don't recognize it, the fact of the matter is He is the goal. Not because somebody says He's the goal, but because you have pursued Him with every breath that you have taken. The most negative person in the world only pursues Him. The best person in the world only pursues Him. The only difference between the negative people who pursue Him and the noble people who pursue Him is
His higher nature and lower nature.
Okay, you could say that. Yeah, you could actually say that.
Education, knowledge.
Knowledge that they are pursuing Him.
Yeah, Kinnari?
The people who are positive, they know that they are pursuing. Otherwise, others are unaware.
Yes. So what are those who know? What are they? What is it that those who don't know think they are pursuing?
Only happiness.
The unwise.
Only happiness. Only happiness. In whatever we have done, we have asked for only one thing, happiness. Only that one thing. Whether you were Raman Raghav, the serial killer, or you were Charles Darnay. No, not Charles Darnay, Sidney Carlton. Whether you were killing others or sacrificing your life for others, the only solitary pursuit is happiness. Some are on the right track, they're going to get it. Some are on the wrong track, they're not going to get it. But the track is the same. That's why he says, track is the same means the goal is the same. That's why he says, Gatihi, I am the Gatihi, I am the goal. I am the goal of human existence. For the knowledgeable ones, they understand that he is the goal and they pursue him directly. The ignorant ones do not understand he is the goal and pursue that same infinite happiness in erroneous ways. By erroneous, we only mean that, what does erroneous way mean?
They are ignorant.
Likes and
Right? So
dislikes.
what's,
Worldly
Likes and
pursuits.
dislikes.
okay. So what's erroneous about it?
Away
Not
from the
using the
self.
intellect.
Well, those pleasures are not linked to their goal. Higher goal are not linked to a higher goal.
What's erroneous about it?
They give
Not
false
using-
sense of happiness.
Sorry, Kinari?
They give a false sense of happiness. That is
False
the
sense of happiness.
Not permanent.
Okay. Yeah, you could actually say those things. Why we call them erroneous ways of gaining happiness is because you will not get happiness by that method. So when they're looking at the wrong place. That's correct. But what's so wrong about it? What is wrong is you won't get it. The Shastras are not here to make us live some kind of horrible disciplined life and, make our lives very difficult and then one day we will reach heaven and then we will be happy. It's not like that. The Shastras are there. This education on life is there so that we will get what we want. It's just telling us the methodology of getting what we want. This is the way to get it. Whatever you may want in this world, this is the way to get it. It's not trying to stop you from what you want. It's not trying to prevent you from what you want. It's not trying to give you some kind of misery over here so that later on you will get happiness somewhere. Some heaven you're going to get to, which will be so happy and this was nothing like that. Right here, right now, one step after the other. If we take correctly, it will be ever enlarging ripples of joy. It will just keep growing. Just like your finances, right? When you take the first few decisions in finances correctly, then it just grows. The corpus will just keep on growing. But if you don't take those first few decisions properly, before you know it, it's all gone. That's exactly how it is in the spiritual path. Just get the first few steps right. They may seem difficult, the first few steps, but in just a very short time, you will see the benefits of it all. You'll see it yourself. Very, very short time. Now you may say, no, I've been doing it for a long time, but I'm not seeing benefits. Then you have to ask yourself, am I doing it correctly? Have I understood it correctly? A lot of people are doing what they call Vedanta, and Vedanta never said anything like this. So be careful that you're understanding correctly. You're not carrying on with your own original conditioning under the name of Vedanta. So be very, very careful, because that's what most people do when they come to Vedanta. Instead of learning something new, they just call what they're doing a different name. That's all that happens. Be careful. So it is the goal. It is the ultimate goal. It is the current goal, everybody's current goal, in the sense that everybody's seeking infinite, complete, unending happiness. And that's what everybody's seeking. Some understand there's only one way to do it, and they go about it the right way. Some do not understand it, and therefore go about in a million wrong ways. As many human beings as there are, that many wrong ways can we come up with. The right way is only one. That also we have to understand carefully. By right way doesn't mean everybody has to do only this particular thing. No, that's what it means. It means the principle involved is the same for everybody. The principle will not change. its manifestation changes. So it is the gati, it is the bharta, it is the filler, it is the supporter. That where you're heading is is him. That which is supporting you while you're heading there is also him. Without the self, which action, perception, emotion, or thought can you possibly have? So he's your supporter in this journey. He is the Sakshi. He's the Prabhu. He enlivens everything we do. He is the Sakshi. While enlivening it, he is not involved in it. The managing director of a company enlivens everything that happens in the company, right? But he's completely involved in it. He's part of what is happening. He will get the results of what is happening. He'll get his whatever fruits of the company doing well or badly. He's involved in it. He's the enlivener, but he's involved. The self is the enlivener, but he's not involved, like the sun on earth. Because of the sun above, everything that happens on earth happens. The companies run, the people work, the animals amble about, the plants grow, the seasons change. Everything is happening because of the sun. And yet the sun has absolutely nothing. Nothing whatsoever. Because of him it happens. And he has nothing whatsoever to do with it. He's the nivasa. He's the abode. Whatever we see over here rests in the self. Just as the rope rests in the snake. The snake rests in the rope. The mirage rests in the desert. The waves rest in the ocean. The ghost dwells in the post. There's another very famous example from Vedanta, which is there is a post. It's night time. There's a post. There's a khamba. There is something over there. And you don't know what is there. So you look at it. And it looks like the figure of a man in the dark. It's a semi-lit place. Looks like the figure of a man. So get very frightened. Oh my God, there's a ghost. There's a ghost. Terrified of the ghost. Where does that ghost dwell? It dwells on the post. Without the post, there's no ghost. So, Nivasa. Where is our Vasa? Vasa means where do we stay? We all stay in the self. Like all the waves rest in the ocean. There are no waves without ocean. It is Sharanam. It is shelter. What does it give us shelter from? It gives us shelter from the shenanigans of our own mind. Our own mind will do all sorts of nakra in this world. It is our shelter. Because when we can direct this mind to the self, that same mind full of all its nakra settles down. It's our abode of tranquility. Don't you even find that? I mean, just these thoughts, just attend class and so much more peaceful, right? Than everything else. I mean, even if we don't move forward, just listen to it. Just the listening. That's why many people get very attached to the listening. They'll keep listening only because it becomes the most calm, most blissful period. And they go on years and years listening. कुछ और नहीं हो रहा है, श्रवण ही हो रहा है. Effort का नाम निशान नहीं है. But it feels very nice to listen. Why does it feel nice? Because even a little bit of those thoughts, and it's very, very tranquil, very, very peaceful. So it is our sharanam. It is our shelter. shelter from all the agitations created by our mind, all the shenanigans of the mind, where all it is running in this world. The poor mind, the poor helpless mind, running to so many places, agitating itself. Weird mind it is, a very weird mind. It will do the wrong things and it will suffer the consequences of the wrong things. And yet it will continue to do those wrong things. A very weird mind. Intellect will say, Bacha, don't do. Mind will say, no, I will do. Mind will do it. Mind will suffer. Intellect doesn't suffer. Mind will suffer. Crazy mind, no? So the first stage of human evolution, the mind is extremely extroverted. It's always looking to the world for everything. It's looking there for happiness, it's looking there for answers, it's looking there for everything. For security, for everything. It feels that there's some external thing by which I'm going to get these things. I'll get something and then I'll be happy. I'll get something, then I'll be secure. I'll get something, then I'll get wisdom. I'll get something, and then something, it goes on with. I'll get something, then I'll be very powerful. Something, it's very extroverted. It's constantly believing that if I get something, I'm going to be happy. It's a funny mind. If one day it comes to rest in an introverted pursuit, that same mind turns its focus within. Turns means intellect turns the mind. It's focus onto some introverted things. And suddenly the mind starts calming down. And then finally, when it reaches the self, it reaches complete tranquility. And this is shown, you may have seen it iconographically. India has a vast tradition of taking this knowledge somehow and converting it into a story, into an art, into a sculpture. Most amazing thing, most fascinating thing if you consider how it's done. So take this as simple thing, right? I mean, conceptually, to understand that the extroverted mind finds agitations and then the introverted mind becomes tranquil. Now, you can explain this to an intellectual. How are you going to explain this to somebody who's not an intellectual or who's uneducated? It was done in this country. And that is the symbolism which you have all seen. Have you not seen the concept of Sheshanaga? Have you heard of the concept of Sheshanaga? Vishnu lies on that. Sheshanaga has got many, many heads. And Vishnu lies on him in the Srirabdi Shayana Narayana, in the ocean of milk. That Narayana, where is that? So Srirabdi Shayana, he's sleeping in the ocean of milk on Sheshnaga. You're all familiar with that. We've seen it in the temples. We've seen it. It is this very concept. Srirabdi means in the Shira. Shira means in the ocean of milk. Meaning what? A pure mind. What is a snake? A snake is the ego. Always represents the ego. This is a many-headed snake. 100 heads it's got. So what kind of person are we then talking about? An egoistical person with many heads. And these heads are looking all over the place at so many things. But when these heads turn within and look down, you've seen Sheshnaga is looking down on, looking inwards at Narayana. When this heads turn inwards, he finds Narayana sleeping there. Sleeping because he's the inactive principle. So when the ego, in a pure mind, white Srirabdi Shayana, the ocean of milk, You turn within, you find Narayana lying there. And what else do you find? You find that Lakshmi is serving him, pressing his feet and all, giving him a foot massage. You turn introvert, you will find Narayana within. And when you found Narayana, Lakshmi will serve you. Beautifully, they tell it, right? In a picture. Can you imagine telling this concept in a picture? And they do it. Oh, it's an incredible thing. And if you study the Shilpakala and all this, each thing over there has a meaning. Incredible. Unfortunately, we don't have a lifetime long enough to study all these things, so we have to concentrate on our own studies. But because we grew up with it, now we'll understand what it means. Sheshanaga, looking within, sees Narayana. Exactly what he is saying here. It is that harbor of tranquility. But you'll find Narayana within only if
Look inward.
if the pure mind turns introverted. You cannot have an impure mind being introverted. It has to be a pure mind. You'll find the self only in a pure mind. You cannot find it in an impure mind. It is the surud. It is your friend. What does a friend do? A friend is always supportive. It is your friend. It's your only friend, really. A friend will never leave you. A friend in need is a friend indeed. In your time of need, the only thing that will be with you is how much have you put your thought on the self. Because as much as you have invested in the thought of the self, that much you will be protected from all that's happening in the world. It is your friend. It is Prabhava Pralaya. It is the origin, it is the dissolution. I hope you are able to see what he's telling us. Can you tell me what he's telling us in this whole verse? What? Nobody knows.
The all-pervasive nature.
Very good. Only Bharat knows. What happened to everybody else? Bharat, we expect that he should know. What about everybody else? Have you heard him? If you haven't heard him, tell us. What is he saying in
All
this verse?
pervading. All pervading.
All pervading. Yes. That's all he's telling us. Every bit of our life is nothing but him. You can see the self everywhere. 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 You can't. Which part is the self not in? We're just saying it's a Prabhava and Pralaya. It is the origin and the dissolution. When something is born and when something dies, it is the self. The self has neither been born nor is dead. But without the self, neither the birth nor the death can take place. Neither the creation nor the dissolution can take place. Birth and death with reference to being, creation, dissolution with reference to objects. The whole thing. It comes, it stays, it goes. You bought table mats, beautiful table mats, and you used them, and they were beautiful, and everybody told you how beautiful it is. So they were born in your house, they lived in your house, and after some time, after your use, what will happen? They will end. Then you will have to dispose them off and get new table mats. Otherwise, they will not be table mats, they will be table nets. You have to get rid of it, right? So, in the beginning, during its presence, and when it all ends, still the self, always the self. Can we see that? It is the sthanam, the substratum. Without the self, no world can come across, just as without the oceans, no waves can come. In a bucket, you can't have waves, right? It is the substratum. It is Nidhanam. Nidhanam means treasure house. It is the ultimate treasure house. As Christ said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Imagine, whole kingdom of within is within. और यहाँ वहाँ घूम रहे हैं trying to find something. In the scriptures, they talk about it as the kasturi. You know, the deer emits a fragrance, and he runs madly in the forest trying to locate that fragrance and dies in their attempt, never recognizing that the fragrance is coming from him. What an example! What an example! I don't know if it hits you. Imagine. It's all coming from me, and I'm running here and there, everywhere, trying to locate it. It's all coming from me. The whole lot of it is coming from me. That thing which seems so attractive, that thing appears attractive. Why? That attraction is coming from me. And something looks so repulsive. Why? That repulsion is coming from me. Whole thing is coming from me. Just imagine that. Whole thing is the result of me. Nothing else happening here. If we could all understand how big is that role that I am playing in my life, we would not be so foolish as to consider anything else. Everything is coming from me. Somebody does something idiotic. Where is the anger coming from? Is it not coming from me? Does his idiocy create anger in me? Of course not. He has no power to do that. I alone can do that. I alone can get angry. He can't make me angry. Nobody has this power over me. Can anybody make me love them? No, they can't. Can anybody make me hate them? No, they can't. Everything is coming from me. Amazing. Nidhanam, the treasure house, all within. And if you understand it's all within and you seek it within, oh my God, what a difference it makes. Bijam avyayam. Beautiful construct this is. Bijam avyayam. The indestructible seed. So everybody knows that the universe has come from God. Everybody will tell you that. But what kind of coming is this? How has it come from God? Some people say God created the world. Really, if God created the world, then God is a creator. Creator means he's an actor. He has performed some action. Every action comes from desire. So therefore, you reduce God to
The finite.
man, to a human, to a being. And what is the nature of a being? A being is born and a being dies. Every being is subject to that. God is not a being. If he's not a being, he cannot have desire. If he cannot have desire, he cannot have action. Correct? But yet we all have heard, every scripture has said that the world is come from God. And here also he is saying, Bijam avyayam, I am the imperishable seed. I am the seed from which all this world comes. But I am the imperishable seed. Imperishable, why? Imperishable seed? Because he's drawing our attention to a very important aspect, which is that a seed. What is a seed? A seed is something that becomes the tree. The seed dies and a tree is born. The seed metamorphizes into the tree, correct? So a seed is that which changes its form to be the tree. But he is not that kind of a seed. He's a bijam avyayam. He's an imperishable seed. He's a indestructible seed, an imperishable seed. The seed doesn't change. How is that possible? That's not possible, right? How can there be a seed that doesn't change? Because if it didn't change, it wouldn't become the tree or wouldn't become anything else. It wouldn't become a being or a tree or anything. It wouldn't become an animal. It wouldn't be a tree. So we have to stop and think, what does that mean? Bijam avyayam. It means it must be a seed in a way that the seed doesn't change. Now, what kind of seed is this that doesn't change? What kind of cause is it that doesn't become the effect itself? The only hint you get is from the word avyayam, right? So how can this be? Now let's think about it. The rope is the kind of seed that doesn't change when the snake comes. The post is the kind of seed that doesn't change when the ghost comes. The desert is the kind of seed that doesn't change when the mirage comes. Bijam avyayam. The imperishable seed. When the effect takes place, the cause does not change. Otherwise, no actual worldly seed can this ever be possible. Bijam avyayam. When the snake comes, the rope is very much there, the same that it always was. Verse 19. Is Omkar back or not? Okay, yeah, you are. Tapamyahamaham varsham nigrihanyam srujami cha amritam chaiva mrityuscha sadasachaham arjuna tapyamyahamaham varsham nigrihanyam yutsrujami cha amritam chaiva mrityuscha sadasachaham arjuna tapamyaham tapamyaham I heat. Tapa refers to heat. I heat. Aham varsham I am the rain. Nigruhannami grunna is to hold completely. Niupasarga I withhold, I keep it back. Utsrujami I give it forth. The me endings, by the way, as you are all familiar, are reference to first person. So I give it out. Utsrujami, I give it out. Amrutam, mrutyucha. I am mrutam and amrutam. Mrutyu, mrutam means what? Death. Amruta means not dead, means immortal. I am death and I am immortality. Sat and Asat. I am Sat, I am Asat. I am being, I am non-being. Oh Arjuna, poor Arjuna, he must be by this time completely flummoxed. He has no idea what's going on. Tapami aham. Okay, so if you notice what he's talking about the water cycle. So I heat, I give heat. Okay, as a consequence of heat, what happens? There's rain. I withhold and I give forth also. Based on the cycle, right? I'm immortality as well as death. I'm immortality as well as death. I am immortal The self is immortal. My manifestations are mortal. The ocean is immortal. The waves are mortal. The rope is immortal. The snake is mortal. Means relatively speaking. So I am immortality as well as death. Means I am the self by itself. I am also the manifestation. Ekatu Rama, Anekatu Rama. You are the one and you are the many. I am being and non-being. Now, Sat and Asat can of course be translated in various ways. I am being, I am not being, meaning if you claim that God is a being, then you subject him to birth and death. If you claim him to be non-being, he's not a being, then you subject him to being inert. But he is neither alive nor inert. That's what he's trying to say. He is neither a being nor is he a non-being. I hope that's clear. If you claim he's a being, then you give him birth and death. You give him desires. That's not possible, right? If you claim he is non-being, he's not a being, then you make him an inert object. Because as far as we know, there are only these two things. Either you're alive or you're non-living, right? You're only living and non-living. You don't understand anything else. But he is beyond the pairs of all. He is neither the living nor the non-living. He is beyond the being and the non-being. He is beyond existence and non-existence. He is beyond the manifest and the unmanifest. The manifest world, what we see in our dream and waking. The unmanifest world, which is there while we are in deep sleep. The desires are manifesting. He is beyond both. I am the false.
So Janki ji, what is the name that you will give to that stage?
They have given various names: Allah, Father in heaven, Brahman, Vishnu, Shiva, X, Turiya, pure consciousness. Kuch bhi bolo. Whatever name you give, it is beyond our comprehension. Call it X. To involve the mind, we call it the name of our Ishtadevata. Whoever is your Ishtadevata, call it by that name because it's just an aid for our mind to be able to love it. It doesn't matter what you call it. In any case, we don't understand it. He is Vishnu, he is Shiva. Ekam Satyam Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Famous line from the Rig Veda. There is one truth, the wise call him by many names. Indra, Matarishwa. So many names are given to the Lord. Doesn't matter what is the name you give. Like in a maths problem, right? Doesn't matter whether you call it, let the answer be X or let the answer be Y. In either case, you don't know what the answer is. So I give heat. I withhold and send forth rain. I am the expression. I'm also this non-expression. If it comes, it's because of the Lord. If it doesn't come also, it's because of the Lord. If we're able to start a university, it is because of the Lord. If we're not able to start a university, that is also because of the Lord. Whatever happens, it's His doing. So it's an interesting thing. I give heat, I withhold and send forth rain. The whole play of nature is going on. We're just this body, mind, intellect is just a very, very small part of it. And as long as I can remember that this body, mind, intellect is a very small part of it, and I'm the all of it, my whole vision on life will be extremely different. Just this much comprehension. You don't understand that the whole thing is playing. Some fantastic things are going on beyond our comprehension. What is our little intellect going to understand? And when the intellect doesn't understand, we make demands in ignorance. Children making demands. How does that even make sense? Our only job is to do what we have to do. Just do that. That's it. It's the beginning and end of our responsibilities. We do not understand what the whole picture is. So he's talking to us of this whole srishti going on, all nature going on. Millions and billions and trillions of things all working together in some kind of cohesion. And we come up there and stand like a child and say it should be like this or it should be like that. It makes no sense. Where does self-effort fit in if the Lord is the doer? Ajay, you, in the sense of your body, mind, intellect, has to play its part. What will come as a result of that part it plays, we have no way of telling what is going to happen. My intellect has the capacity to tell me what is the right thing for me to do. My intellect doesn't even have the capacity to tell me what you should be doing. My intellect can tell me what I should be doing. If each one of us follow that, that is self-effort. That is effort. And when we leave the result of that to whatever is mighty cause and effect taking place beyond our comprehension, that's leaving it to the Lord. So self-effort and leaving it to the Lord have to coexist. Every cog must play its part. Every wheel must play its part. But how the entire machinery works is the job of the whole, not of the cog. Is that clear?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, so now why are we supposed to keep seeing the Lord in all things? Okay, God is all pervading. तो मैं क्या करूँ? होने दो ना. You can say that. What am I to do with it? Oh, you be all pervading if you like. Your problem, not my problem. And why are we supposed to think of him as being all pervading? Why are we supposed to think of him as being all pervading?
It will
To reach your goal.
desires.
Wait, sorry. Milind, what are you saying?
It will reduce our desires.
Very good. If you want to live in the right way, you better think of the self all the time. When you think of yourself all the time, you will create a strong desire for the self, and your desires for the world will wane away. If you choose not to think of the self and choose to think of desires, what will happen is that the mind will become more and more extroverted, more and more disturbed, more and more leading itself to failure, both external and internal, both ways, right? So that is what the next topic tells us about. Because why? And why is he telling us, I am this, I am this, I am this? Chodo yaar, samajh mein aaya, go to the next point. Not like that. He's telling us that so that we hope. Now it's raining, right? So for all of us in Mumbai, I don't know what's happening in these various other places everybody is from. I don't know what's happening in Mexico or USA or wherever all our people are nowadays. We don't know what's there. But we know one thing. For somewhere, it will be the sun. For someone, it will be the rain. For someone, it will be the rain not coming. So many things, right? But no matter what it is, can we think of the Lord? So what he has done is, he has gone and put himself everywhere. So now when you see rain, you think of him. When you expect rain and it didn't come, again you'll think of him. Because you've read of him being that rain and being that non-rain. When it's really hot, you'll remember him, for the Lord gives heat. right? So what he's basically trying to do is creating that thought very powerfully in us so that we remember him. Nowadays, what do? We use him as a via media to get what we want. So we're remembering what we want more than we're remembering him. We use him as a tool to obtain something. No, that's not what it's meant for. It's meant to just rang de chunariya, color the whole thing with his color. So now he's telling us that. So verse 20. Vidyamam soma paputa papaha yagnairishtva swargatim prarthayante te punyamasadhya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan त्रैवेद्यामां सोमपापूतपापाः यज्ञैरिष्ट्वा स्वर्गतिं प्रार्थयन्ते ते पुण्यमासाद्य सुरेन्द्रलोकम् अश्नन्ति देव्यान् दिवि देवभोगान् त्रैविद्या Vidyaha, those who know the three. Three refers to the three Vedas. As you have heard frequently, the three Vedas, because the original three Vedas are considered to be, in our culture, the ancient Vedas, and the last Veda, Atharvana Veda, is considered to be fairly recent. The first three Vedas are for the priests, for the rich people, for the higher classes of society. The fourth Veda is for everyday, normal people who cannot afford to do what the first three Vedas have given as rituals. The rituals given in the first three Vedas are massive, huge. You have to be fairly well heeled to be able to afford those kind of things. But what about the common people? What are they interested in? They're interested in, okay, I've got fever, give me a cure for my fever. I have some problem of some kind, give me a cure for my problem. So the fourth Veda is mainly meant for that kind of stuff. It's also known as the Bheshajya Veda because it was the stepping stone to Ayurveda. That's what people are concerned with. Huh? What about my health and what about my wealth and all that? Give me some solutions that don't involve me spending so much money. The first three Vedas also give solutions, but they involve spending a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of energy. I guess it's the difference between, I don't know, cricket and tennis. If you're playing cricket, then you will have to spend 5 days doing it, right? But if you're playing tennis, you can finish the game in a few hours. That kind of thing. Sorry for this most unorthodox example, but you can think of it like that. One is long and elaborate, and you better be well heeled to be able to afford all that. And the other one is like guli danda or something you played in the streets. You don't need lots of money. Just as an example, okay, please don't go around quoting this as a understanding of the three Vedas. So just an example to understand how it is structured. So the first three are considered very authoritative, very, like Rig Vedas, like really old, really, really old. The other two Vedas are sort of derivative of it. Yajur Veda tells us the rituals that you do with the mantras of the Rig Veda, and Sama Veda adds music to the thing. The chanting of the Rig Veda is converted to music. The same verses, the same ruchas of the Rig Veda become the music, are put to music in Samaveda. So the Purohit there is called the Udgata, loudly singing. So 5 Udgatas are there at the Yajna. There's a main Udgata and then there are assistants and they're all singing loudly. The Purohit of the Atharva Veda is Brahma. And he's actually charged with taking care of the entire yajna. So they're not so divorced as we like to think of the whole thing. The Brahma has to make sure he knows all the other Vedas so that he can sort of oversee it. So Traividyaha means those who know the three Vidyas. Somapaha. Somapaha is a samas. Those who are the drinkers of Soma. So it's an interesting samas when you all know this, right? That when you add letters to Sanskrit words, you create words like Padapa. Padapa. Padapaha. Anybody knows what Padapaha is? Pada you understand, right? What is Padapa, you know?
Foot.
Good food, no. Padapa is
Foot.
Padapa is a Sanskrit word for tree. So why is a tree called Padapa? Pada means foot. Pa means to drink. So he who drinks with his foot, that's a tree. So you add these little letters in the end. Utpada, you put this thing in the end and then you create these words like, I don't know. Give me some. Purvaja. You add ja to the end. So Purva, old. Ja, born. Born earlier. That Purvaja becomes your ancestor. So you can put these little letters at the end. Each letter signifying something. Like Ka, if you add, then you make that thing small. Like Bala, Balaka. So small one. Small child. Gopala, Gopalaka. As Gopalaka, right? So you can do that. So Somapa, the drinkers of the Soma. Somapaha, plural. So the drinkers of Soma. Who are the drinkers of the Soma? They are those who are doing the yajna. Right? So the knowers of the three Vedas, what are they doing? They do the yajnas. That's at the end of the yajna, you get Soma to drink. So the drinkers of the Soma means those who are doing the yajnas. Putapapaha, whose sins have been destroyed, whose sins have been purified. They're not agitated. Why are they not agitated? Because they're doing yajna. By yajna over here, we're talking about the actual ritual, okay? Naresh, do these ritualistic practices mentioned in the Vedas have significance? Does Vedanta advocate or prescribe them? Yes, of course, they have significance. That's why they're there in the Vedas. This is the highest scriptural literature. How can it not have significance? When you are started the spiritual pursuit, you start with a appreciation or a questioning, or maybe let's say a wonderment of nature. You start like that. And when you start like that, you don't know what is going on. Where did I come from? Where did I go? What is all this? Who makes this rain come? Who makes the rain stop? You start with that Hindi film song. ये कौन चित्रकार है, ये किस कवि की कल्पना. Start like that, and then that converts itself to your doing something. Okay, in our context, you probably came to class, but in other people's context, they did something else. They joined some form of organized religion. An organized religion, whether it's the Hindus or the Christians or the Muslims or the Sikhs or the whoever in the world it is, will give you some rituals to perform, something to do. As you do these rituals, because why are you given something to do? Because the mind is extroverted. It needs action. You're given something to do. And as the the agitations, the desires reduce with that kind of ritualistic, organized religion, then you start another type of questioning that brings us to the third portion of the Vedas. You start questioning, and that brings you to philosophy, right? Why did you come to this philosophical thing? Because the agitation, the desire is reduced. So these have a significance. Yes, rituals have a significance in the spiritual path. It is meant for us at a certain stage of the spiritual journey. When you grow up from that stage, then you are no longer interested in those rituals. Does Vedanta advocate or prescribe them? Vedanta does not advocate or prescribe anything. All it says is it explains why you're doing what you're doing. It does not tell you do or don't do. Depending on whether you are at that stage of development or not, you have to take whatever you need to do to grow. Okay, Naresh?
Thank you, ma'am.
Uttara, Soma has been misunderstood as an intoxicating drink. No, Uttara, Soma is an intoxicating drink. So Shiva Bhakta drink bhang. Intoxicating. Okay. All these conversions into Shiva and all is all later. It's not in the Vedas, it's the Puranic gods. And different saints in our country have come and prescribed different things for different reasons. When, if a person is the drinking type, then it's better he drinks in the name of the Lord. Those who are not drinking types, do not start drinking for the sake of the Lord. But if you are as it is drinking, then this is Shiva, given to Shiva, because Shiva, drinking in excess will lead to destruction. Please understand, it's a Shiva's drink. So do it with care. So everything in our country is religious. Even the drinking, even the non-veg, everything is religious. That doesn't mean you eat non-veg food for religion. It means you include religion in everything you do.
So, Soma, as explained here, you said it is a juice of tree, like the drink herbal juice. So then why is it understood as intoxicating drink?
All of the drinks are herbal juices only. What is beer? It's made out of barley. And what is whiskey? What is whiskey made out of? All of them are made from plants only. Nothing is made from anything else.
Bhang.
What is bhang made out of? So they're all plants of various types anyway. But they are capable of intoxicating us. Yeah. But they're made from plants. Yeah, they're herbal.
So, but it was meant to be like nourishing, isn't it? Because they are saying you must be drinking. So, what is the inference here? Like, what are we supposed to do?
You're not
Like, how do
supposed to
we
do
interpret
anything,
this?
Uttara. Just
How
understand.
how
Don't
do
do
we
it.
interpret this?
Yeah. Let us
Okay.
finish the verse. The Somapa is only means the one doing yajna, because after the yajna, you're going to get Soma to drink. It's like it's saying nowadays drinking Charnamrut. Those drinking Charnamrut. What does it mean? It means you just done the puja.
Okay.
So after it, that was the prasad that they got. Because remember, it's like a many days, it's a major thing. They need some tonic after they finish. They've been shouting loudly for days on end and doing lots of stuff. So when we will study the verse, I'm just explaining word by word. Then we'll get to the philosophical point. Oh, Bharat.
Okay, thank you.
Bharat announcement. No class next Sunday. Yeah, you know that Swamiji will be giving his annual Guru Purnima lecture. We are indeed fortunate that we get to hear him. So next Sunday, Guru Purnima lecture by Swamiji. So we will not have the morning class. We will all join in for the evening talk by Swamiji. All right, so that's it. Hari Om.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Thank you, Janki.